Another episode of Uncensored Sports, and today we have an exciting slate. We're only going to be streaming for 1 hour today just because of the lack of topics, but on Monday we'll go back to our regular schedule, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So today, last night was Thursday Night Football. We're going to be talking about it. We're going to cover all the analysis here, and TyThaGoat has some stuff to say about his team that, let's just say, it's not the most PG. So, you want to start?
Nah. I'm gonna be more positive with it. Y'all start. I'm gonna be more positive because there's a lot of things I've seen out there. Because I mean, the fact that we got 2 interceptions on Brady, even though they were tip passes off the receiver's hands,
Right.
I'm taking what I can get. We talking about Brady here, so I'm gonna take what I can get. You feel me? So
yeah, that stream, he's taking what he can get, and that's a positive way to look at a rebuilding team. And I agree with you. I seen some real positive things in that second half when they could have just folded and let the Patriots pound on them. Andrew Luck came back with a nice touchdown
Andrew Luck
drive.
in the defense, they scored 2 touchdowns in the half, coming out of half and forced 3 stops with 2 interceptions and a punt. I mean, I thought I was kind of like, okay, we can come. Okay, no, we can't.
You know, and again, I guess what it comes down to is lack of talent, really. Just like
it wasn't even lack of talent; it was lack of healthy players. That's what it was, my nigga. I mean, we lost like 3-4 players yesterday on top of already having a bunch of players that were already injured in the lineup. Like, we had a bunch of players that were injured on our team. They were in the lineup, but we weren't going to play them because they were hurt. And that right there is just a sign like, oh, we should probably get healthy people in there. I don't know who all is injured on our team. I really don't, because I haven't really paid attention to the roster over the last few years. But with what we had, I feel like Andrew Luck made it look good.
I truly think that's amazing. With you know, being so invested. Like last night, you know, I was watching some of that game with you, and you were really invested into it, and you haven't really watched football in 2-3 years now, so that was really impressive. But you know, I have to say, last night's game, you know, the way it started off, I was happy with the performance your team put on. You know, Brady was getting everything he wanted in that first half, you know? And I think the biggest thing in terms of, you know, playing the football game is making adjustments in game. And I stressed that to you before. You know, making the adjustments in the game. When somebody's having success, you know, the defensive coordinator and the head coach is their job to come and, you know, fix the issues, fix what you guys are struggling at. I think that was really key with what you guys did yesterday, and I have to applaud you guys for that. Like, Andrew Luck made some really good throws, and I even think in the first half he was really solid. He made that mistake, that throw, and I think for him it's just more about escaping the pocket. You know, some quarterbacks escape the pocket too much. Some of them escape it too little. Andrew Luck is one of those quarterbacks who don't leave the pocket enough to create plays for himself. And yesterday I found out we saw that play together, and it's like, whoa, like, you're just gonna wait for the defender to get in your face? Exactly. Right.
down, just trying to strip you. But
Right, exactly.
I mean, we had a couple dumb turnovers, I feel, but I mean, I'm here talking on the game. I mean, they're in the real game. It's probably harder to do it in real life. So
Yeah, and I think just watching this, I was really impressed with the resolve of the defense. You know, more so than the offense, because the offense does have somebody who's projected to be an all-time great, and who's a really great quarterback. You know, but the offense, they don't really have, they have a lot of young guys. Darius Leonard is one you mentioned. Marcus Hunt's one you mentioned. You know, Malik Hooker is one you mentioned. So, like, just a lot of young guys back there. Not that star, not that star you're really looking for. Just a lot of solid guys. And a couple of those solid guys went down. You know, and the resolve they showed picking off Brady twice in the second half, that was really
Yeah.
key.
And
But you
like you
know,
said, I mean, we got a lot of players that went down, specifically even on the offense end. We got T.Y. Hilton that didn't play last night. But who really stepped up last night to me was definitely Eric Ebron, which I mentioned him yesterday, but I didn't really go in depth. And I mean, he had a great game yesterday. He ended up getting a touchdown, but that touchdown wasn't really nothing. It was the end of the game, it was the fourth quarter, but touchdown is a touchdown. And like I said earlier in the show, whatever we can get on the Patriots, I'm taking. So,
and I think
I mean,
with Eric
yeah,
Ebron, let's talk about him a little bit. Eric Ebron, you know, he had the, what do we call that? The dropitis. You know what I'm saying? When he was with Detroit, you know, he had a lot of
yeah,
drops. That's what he was known for. And then you seen early on yesterday, he had those drops, and he had that one specific drop where it's just an easy throw. You know, it's an easy throw,
yeah. It's
easy
like
catch.
you gotta catch it before you can run.
But he made it his mission. And the thing I like about him this year, rather opposed to last year, when he was getting criticized, you know, he let that criticism get to his head. And this game specifically, you know, he heard the chants, he heard everything, and he made it his mission to go make tough catches, those one-handed catches, those real cuts.
Yeah,
You know, Andrew Luck wasn't always throwing the ball where it was supposed to be. Eric Ebron had to go back for a couple of those. Eric Ebron had to adjust his body and contort his body to get. And that's impressive, you know, just to have that wherewithal in your mind, just to come back, you know, have a short-term memory, forget about the drop earlier, come back and play some good ball. And he plays some good ball. And no, like you said, shout out to Naeem Hines, who didn't necessarily run the ball.
yeah. I was
That's
just
not
about to
his.
bring him up.
Oh, go ahead. You bring him up. That's your player.
Because I mean, they ran a lot more today than I thought they would. I mean, he has 15 carries. He didn't get a lot of yardage, but he got like yardage that we needed. And even when he was catching out of the backfield, he got 7 catches out of the backfield. And it's just like when we needed a 5-yard play, maybe a 10-yard play, he was one of the players
down.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, first down. He was one of those players that Andrew Luck would throw to or go to.
Exactly.
Yeah, and he showed up. I mean, it might not look at it like number-wise, like, but if you watch the game, you know he did what he was supposed to do, what he was in the game for. There was another running back that had a couple runs that actually broke for a couple big ones.
I know you're talking Wilkins.
Yeah.
I know you're talking
right
about.
now.
Yeah, he
Jordan Wilkins, yeah.
Yeah, he I seen him in I think it was the beginning of the third quarter where he busted off 3 good runs, and you know he got nicked up after the third one. But with a team like this, you can't just look to one person to win. You know what I'm saying? It got to be a win by committee.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly what they did correct. You know, they didn't. You know, Andrew Luck didn't key in on one guy who he can throw to. You know, he looked around, he went through his progressions. It's key to do that when you're playmakers, when you're lacking playmakers rather. I think the thing with the Colts is that they're gonna have to come to realize this, is that they're gonna have to work with what they got. And I think I seen a lot of great route running from Chester Rodgers, your wide receiver, yesterday. He dropped a couple passes. That's not really good, but his route running was really solid. You know, you can get over drop passes. I've seen receivers become short-handed, before. You can get over that. But, you know, bad route running, that's something that it takes a long time to teach. You know, Des Bryant wasn't always a great route runner, and you see where his career is at now. So, like, I think that with Chester Rodgers and working on his hands, he'll get there. And I think Andrew Luck kind of looked towards him in the first half to get him the ball, and he completed a couple big first downs. I just think, you know, long run for the Patriots, you know, I want to get to that. Long run for the Patriots, I just think that their defense is not going to be good enough to stop a Kansas City or a Rams, you know, if they make it to the Super Bowl. I just think the Patriots are lacking defensive talent this year. But, you know, they do have, veterans in that secondary like Devin McCourty. And, you know, they have some linebackers like Patrick Chung. Like, these guys are really good. So, I do believe that they got the talent to be winning a lot of these games. And, you know, that's what really matters, you know. But for the Colts, you know, they have a bright future. Just think of what they can do with actual playmakers. They stood in that game yesterday. They didn't bend backward. They didn't bend, you know, it's not like they've been blown out at all. And yesterday kind of looked like it was heading in that direction. And they changed that real quick. So credit to Frank Wright. You know, the head coach, you know, he wasn't supposed to get that job. The job was supposed to go to, you know, Patriots offensive coordinator Josh McDaniels. You know, originally, I don't know if you know this because you wasn't really invested in the football, but the Colts, they hired Josh McDaniels, and then the next day he resigned from the job. Something sort of like what Bill Belichick did to the Jets in 2000. He signed for the job, and then one day later he retired just so he can take the Patriots offer. You know, so that's kind of what Josh McDaniels did. Josh McDaniels is a bright, you know, offensive mind. He just never worked in the NFL as a head coach. He head coached Denver for a couple years. He just never worked, and I think that the Colts lucked out. They lucked out, and,
Yeah.
and no pun intended, because Andrew Luck coming back this year, they got somebody like Frank Wright, who is a quarter. He's an offensive guy, and he can work with that offense. So salute to Jim Irsay and the Colts organization for getting it right. They was on the verge of missing out, and I guess Fortune took Josh McDaniels away from the job. But I think Frank Wright is a great head coach, and he'll make it work this year with you guys. So
I mean, and like you said, we had lack of playmakers on the offensive side of the ball because of injuries yesterday. But there's a couple plays that I wanted to talk about. Not really going in depth, but I wanted to say I wanted to show light on them because they made big plays. Like Air Swoop, I think his name is. I don't know how to say that, to be honest. But that he made some tough catches. I mean, he got a touchdown. Did you see the touchdown catch he caught?
yeah,
I don't know if
it
you
was
saw
pretty.
it. Yeah, that was a good fucking catch. And it was played perfectly by Andrew Luck. And also, like we already talked about, Eric Ebron, who had 2 touchdowns last night. So, and like another person we talked about, Chester Rodgers. This is for the lack of talent we had, quote unquote, because of injury, I feel like our offense showed up big.
Yeah, exactly.
And they did the best that they can.
And that's what you really ask for a young team who's lacking playmakers. Just do the best that you can, in the time that you got. I do think Andrew, let's get one thing clear. In the beginning of the game, Andrew Luck didn't perform well on the other side of the field. He got to the 50. Everything getting to the 50-yard line was really good by Andrew Luck. He made some solid throws. He made some big first downs. Everything after the 50, I felt like play calling was really off, and I go out there and be perfect. To make, you gotta go out there and make them.
Yeah,
just so your team,
a couple of those overthrows.
Exactly, just so your team won't be able, they can depend on you, and that's key for a young team.
Yeah.
When like I said, they're lacking playmakers. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. They're lacking real playmakers, and as a team who's lacking playmakers, they need something to believe in. They need somebody to really put that spark under them, and that's Andrew Luck's job as the star quarterback for this franchise. I do think that the Colts are a really good team this year, especially for what they got. We don't judge teams off of just their what their roster looks like. We judge them off of how good they look with the roster they got. Last year, I think the Jets the same thing. They just have 5 wins throughout the whole year. They looked really good though. They stood in every game. They competed, and I think the Colts are the Jets from last year. The Colts are competing. You know what I'm saying? They're competing with everybody. It's not like they're going down bad. It's not like they're going down sad. Like they're picking it up, and they're getting those throws when they need it. And that's key. That's a key part of the offense for you guys. I really like the way you guys played last night in that second half, and I'm encouraged going forward for you guys to be, up there again.
To do good because he's done good for so long with Tom Brady. He had a great game last night. Same with just returning to the team, Julian Edelman. He started out the game hot. I mean, the first pass went straight to him, the first play of the game, and I was like, once he started getting heated up, it started sinking in like, damn. Like, these niggas really got all these weapons on offense. I mean, and then the other thing is, the offensive line for Tom Brady was so fucking good last night. It was the touchdown throw we got to Josh Gordon. He had so much time in the, you don't see that kind of time in the pocket.
Exactly.
Bro, the amount of time he had, he got through all his receivers twice, and then said, all right, fuck it, I'm going to throw it up to Josh Gordon. And in double coverage, Josh Gordon goes up and gets it, and like you said before, he's that kind of talent that you could just take that risk and throw it up.
Right, and then on top of that, what you see from Tom Brady is even if he doesn't have enough time, he gets the ball off so fast. 0.3, 1 second, and it's just so quick that any defense.
Yeah, you've seen those. I mean, that first drive especially, first 2 drives, he was getting that ball out fast.
And you want to talk about how talentless your defense is, especially with the injuries. But even a talented defense, Miami's a great pass rushing team. You see what he did to them. And he's done it to teams over the years that have great pass rushes, that have great corners. He doesn't discriminate against the kind of defenses that he's playing. Kudos to Tom Brady. He's been doing this for so long. He's 40 years old now, along with Drew Brees. These guys have been in the league for so long. They've been playing so well. And the consistency is just amazing. Something you haven't seen in really any sport. So I do think that Tom Brady he's an all-time great. He's one of the greatest, probably if not the greatest. I'm a Peyton Manning guy, so I'd have something to say about that. But yesterday, you seen a lot of the same stuff you see every week.
I mean, I'm not like you just said. I'm not either the biggest Tom Brady fan, but I gotta say, congratulations. He joins Peyton Manning and Brett Favre on the 500 touchdown club, and that's something where Drew Brees is also gonna be there soon. But I mean,
Give it a couple more games.
that's crazy. Yeah,
Exactly.
maybe they're not even a couple. I think he needs 4, right? I mean, Drew Brees. Who they play next week? I forgot.
The
Where's
Saints
my
play the
notebook?
Redskins on Monday Night Football.
I don't know. You think you can get 4 touchdowns on Monday?
Against the Redskins? I think you get 4 touchdowns against anybody. I think that's the offense they run. But probably not this week because they get Mark Ingram back. They get Mark Ingram back. They're probably going to try to go for run heavy against this. They have a good pass rushing defense too in Washington. So I think they're going to go a little run heavy. But I think he'll get it within the next 3 weeks. And there's no rush, for Drew Brees. That accomplishment. There's only 3 other guys who has that. You know what I'm saying? So that accomplishment is not like you got to rush to get it. You feel me? You may want to rush to win it. To have the most touchdowns ever. But as long as Tom Brady's playing, Drew Brees ain't gonna be in that, the most touchdowns ever. It really comes down to whichever one decides to retire first. Whoever gets the most touchdowns in NFL history. And I don't see any of them backing down. And, they still playing at a high level, which amazes me because in basketball, 36, you feel me, 35 is the age where
that's
you're
when
really
you retire and you start slowing down around 32, 33.
Right,
like we just said, like we just talked about Kevin Durant, once he gets to like 33 years old, 32, I don't see him doing all that.
Exactly. So we expect a drop off in basketball, but it's not like we could say the same in football because Brett Favre played till he was 42, and he's 50 now, and I think he can still play. Like, and that's real. I seen him throw a ball. I'm like, well, that's still tight. Like, he can still play in this league. And that's so amazing in football. Football is easily the most contact sport that we've got. But the fact that quarterbacks are playing longer, and you see even some running wide receivers are playing longer. They're playing longer. Like, it's something to be said about that. And I don't necessarily agree with. And we're gonna talk about this. I know you want to talk about this one. The unnecessary roughness. I don't necessarily agree with the unnecessary roughness calls, but I do agree with the what the NFL is doing, trying to implement safety for these players who they can play longer. They have families too, and that's something to take in consideration. But I mean, yesterday, and I'll just start the topic and I'll let you get right into it. Yesterday, Andrew Luck, in the beginning of the game, he took a sack and 2 guys' body weight. That's probably a 600-pound, 700-pound combined together, or rather 600 pounds combined together going on his body. That's not cool at all. And then they called a passing interference on the Colts defender for just touching Brady's face mask. It's not cool, and if they're gonna call it, they gotta call it correct.
But
roughing passer. Like,
I mean, and like I feel like as a referee, you just looking at it, you can see that he wasn't trying to. He tried to avoid hitting Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't even touch the ground, bro. He didn't fall whatsoever. Exactly. And they call a roughing the passer. I mean, you even when we were watching it, you said they called a roughing the passer.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, yeah. But they didn't call the one on for Andrew Luck earlier when he got 2 niggas laying on him.
Exactly. That's the problem. It's like inconsistency with the calls. I don't think people who hate the call. I think when you're not consistent, all right, if you're gonna call that Clay Matthews roughing the passer, then call that every time. But I think what the league really wants to see is just a level of consistency when it comes to calling those calls. Like, I don't want to see somebody getting touched in a face mask. It's not like the man meant to touch it. He jumped in the air, in an attempt to swat the ball. His hand came down on his face mask, not intentionally, you can tell. Those guys laid on Andrew Luck intentionally. Those guys laid on him intentionally with the intent of hurting him. Andrew Luck has a shoulder issue. They could re-injure that shoulder. That can be it for him. You know what I'm saying? That could be it for his career. Exactly. So,
he's only 29. Which is sad. Exactly,
and they have to take into account really that call has to be called fairly and consistently. Without that, then the call is just a call that you make off of judgment and who you like and who you don't like. I don't really think that is really fair to Andrew Luck, who has had issues, who hasn't had issues in the past, and those issues could be affected with the hit that he took yesterday. You understand? I can understand. Like, look. More importantly for the Colts franchise, and I think they will be talking to the NFL about this, today with a strongly worded letter, because that's their franchise quarterback, and the NFL knows that it's hard to come by a franchise quarterback. Oh, that's a bad. So, like, the NFL knows that, you know, it's hard to come by a franchise quarterback. So, for me, it's just about getting the call right, being consistent with the call. You're gonna call it here, call it there. You're gonna call it there, call it here, and it's just about that. And I think I can't stress that enough. That, you know, Andrew Luck could have been hurt again, and that would have been a third injury, in that would have been season ending, and that wouldn't have been good for the league. And I think the NFL has to address those issues, you know, before they move forward. Well, before they move forward. You know, with the call. So, I mean,
like I said, if they do it like he was to get injured, that would be horrible. Because, like I said, he's only 29. Like you just said, 29 to probably be getting up there in basketball. Like, you about to fall off soon.
Exactly. He has at least another 10 more years.
Yeah, 10 at least.
10 at least.
I mean, so, quarterbacks are playing until 40.
40, 41. Exactly.
Yeah, look at Tom Brady. Look at Drew Brees. Drew Brees is what, 39? Tom Brady's 41.
Exactly. That's too. And you're thinking too much in any sport. Really, that's old. That's already retiring age.
Yeah.
5 years ago was retiring age if you're 40 in baseball. You know what I'm saying? You know, same shit with basketball. 5 years. You know, it's just about how these guys, you know, if they can take care of their body. You know, Tom Brady's had only one season-ending injury in his whole career. Drew Brees, I don't think he's ever had one. I think he's missed a couple, 3-4 games at one point, but I don't think he's ever had a season-ending injury. So Andrew Luck has had 2 season-ending injuries. You know what I'm saying? So in order for him to play till he's at 41, 42, that last injury with the ski trip, that has to be his last season-ending injury. He can't have another one, because you have another one, you're losing reps. You know, you may come back a little rusty. This time he's fortunate. I see Andrew Luck make the same throws he made before his injury. Shows me that his arm is 100%. Or not. If anything,
it only took him 3 weeks to get all that
exactly
all the cobwebs off.
And if it's not 100%, then it's something close. You feel me? If it's not 100%, it's something close.
If that's not 100%, then I'm the happiest nigga in this party right now.
But let me be the first to tell you, I don't think it is 100%. I think his arm is 80, 85% right now. I honestly don't think. I think Andrew Luck's ceiling is way higher than what he's showing. He's proved to be a good runner. I think he's kind of scared to take off. As you seen yesterday, he's kind of scared to get out that pocket and take hits. You know what I mean? And we joke about Andrew Luck liking to take hits, but you know, if it puts your career on the line, then you know I'd rather just not take the hit. You know what I'm saying? I don't care how good the defender is. I'd rather just not take the hit. I just think they got to be smarter. And one thing I would say about the Colts, which is much improved from the last 3 years, their offensive line actually looks really good. You know, they protect Andrew Luck, and that's really good. And that's key for Andrew Luck coming off an injury, because you know, if he takes a bad hit like we just talked about, it could be game over. So I think with the draft pick Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame, you know, they got Matt Slauson on there, a veteran. They put together a nice core between young guys and veterans with this team. I think we should be expecting to see a lot more of this team in the coming future, just with the added additions of these young players. You know, so that's all I gotta say about that game.
Yeah, that's really all there is to talk about. I mean, congratulations to Tom Brady for getting his 100th touchdown, and also with that same possession, throwing to his 71st receiver for a touchdown. I mean, he made history on 2 things, or he made history 2 different categories on 1 play. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, before we move on to baseball and the results last night, you know, I would like to say, Tom Brady, you know, without that care of his body like we just talked about, and without that longevity that you need, you know, without any of that, he wouldn't be where he's at. And I think Tom Brady is somebody who, you know, I hate Tom Brady, and I'll be the first to say, you know, hate is a strong word, but he's fucked over my team so much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I mean, like we said last night, I mean, I was saying I hate playing against Tom Brady, and you said shit, imagine being a Jets, and I was like, oh, y'all are in the same division.
Yeah, we gotta play them twice a year. You know? Like, I don't even have enough hands to count the amount of times that performance he did yesterday, minus the interceptions, he's done against the Jets. He's done that to us every single time we've played. It sucks, but you know, you gotta respect greatness, and I think that's one of the things that I've always stressed when it comes to me and you having a conversation about sports. When we talk about basketball, I love the Warriors. Because it's a level of greatness that we may never ever see again. You know, everybody says we're moving into the era in basketball super teams. We don't know that. KD may leave next year.
I mean, my thing is about that whole super team situation. When have we not been in that era?
Well, you know what I mean. Relative, because the caliber of KD's stature and the caliber of Steph's stature, is ridiculous. These are two of the most famous basketball players and the best basketball players. To pair that up,
I feel you.
with the
But
lower
that's
level
just because
stars.
the people that watch, I feel you, but that's because the people that watch basketball now didn't watch back in the '80s where Larry Bird had about 50 Hall of Famers on his team.
Exactly. That's what we're talking about. You know what I'm saying? Like, I get what you're saying, but even then, I was stressing the comparison. Just to be devil's advocate, I would say that those guys may have been stars for their time, but I think skill level has increased so much
Oh
just
yeah, of
because
course it's
everybody.
gotten better, but like you just said, for their time. I
Exactly.
mean, they were the best team in their time. I mean, but Bill Russell doesn't win 11 championships by his fucking self, so.
Exactly, and then
I
you want to
mean,
talk
you
about
gotta
super
have
teams. Let's
players
talk
with
about
you.
those Lakers teams. Magic, Kareem,
Yeah.
bro. Those two just alone. That's top 5. Those 2 players in the top 5 of
Yeah.
all time. You can't say the same thing about KD and Steph. You know what I'm saying?
You
So,
can't. Agree.
and I think a lot of people look at these teams just because of skill level, how skill level has increased. That's why a lot of people throw hate on this team and how Kevin Durant left OKC. I just love greatness. And let's get back to the topic. We're about to go basketball right there, but let's get back to the topic. Tom Brady, he's just great. You know what I'm saying? The longevity, the everything. And then more or less he's done it with a lot of no names, a lot of people he's made. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Peyton. Peyton has done that a lot in his career too. So it's just about longevity. I just want to respect. I just respect Tom Brady so much. But somebody else I want to bring up. This guy missed a 30-yard field goal yesterday, and then he proceeds to hit a 57-yarder, 58-yarder.
Yeah. I'm like, yo.
That guy's impressive.
But the sad part is, right, for any other team in the league, especially as many field goals have been missed this season, you don't have confidence in your kicker to kick the longer one. I still have confidence in him.
Exactly. And I was going to say that.
He got this.
I was going to say that. There was no part of me that thought Adam Vinatieri was going to miss the second one. The first one, you missed those. You want to know why? Because those are the ones you should make. It's just life. You make the ones you're supposed to miss. You miss the ones you're supposed to make. It's just how life has been, since I've been on this earth. So, it's just it was impressive to see him, specifically make that 50-yarder. So shout out to longevity. These guys have been in the league. Tom Brady and Adam Vinatieri have won 2 chips together. Vinatieri has been the winning kick in 2 of those Super Bowls they've won. In both of those Super Bowls they won. So that's impressive. They've been in the league for about the same amount of years. Adam Vinatieri is fucking 40 years old. That's 45, bro. He's halfway to 50, still kicking in this league. Still better than a lot of those kickers. So shout out to him.
Greatest
shout out to the
longevity.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to him. Shout out to the longevity within that game. And let's get to baseball, because last night we had some playoff matchups, and let's say it was interesting to say the least. That's what I want to say. Well, first off, we had the Rockies playing the Brewers, and that game ended in extras. You know what I'm saying? That's overtime for those non-baseball fans. And we seen the Brewers win on a walk-off. And that was pretty impressive. I didn't watch the game front to back, so I can't tell you guys, but I will have extra analysis on the series on Monday. But I know that Christian Yelich, the guy, the most likely MVP of the National League, he hit a home run yesterday. I do think the Rockies will win this series just because of pitching. I think did I say the Rockies will win? I do think the Brewers will win because of pitching. I think the Rockies have a lot of hitting power, and Arenado and Trevor Story and a lot of those guys, after them. So I do think that series will be interesting. But I want to talk about the Dodgers versus Braves. The Dodgers won that game 6-0. The Braves have a lot of hitting talent, but where I do feel like they don't match up is on that pitching staff. The Dodgers have 1 through 5 a great pitching staff. Kershaw and Ryu last night. Ryu pitched 8 innings. That's great baseball to pitch. And on a consistent basis, I think the Dodgers have done it all year. And their hitters, they're spectacular. So, I mean, that's all I want to talk about with those. But tonight, the Yankees and Red Sox game 1, the biggest rivalry in history of sports ever. Baseball fans, they don't know a lot about baseball, but they know about the Yankees and Red Sox. That's how big it is. You know what I'm saying? So this game should be fun tonight. A 7:20 start. I advise everybody to watch it. People who are not baseball fans, because you're gonna feel the energy. There's nothing better than postseason baseball, and it'll prove tonight. And then as for the AL, the Cleveland Indians facing Houston Astros right now is 0-0 bottom of the first on TBS. Be sure to tune into All Baseball. All Baseball postseason, it'll change your life. My girlfriend, who knows nothing about sports in general, especially baseball. She became a baseball fan last year in the playoffs. It gives you that kind of feel. So shout out to the baseball, man. Like, and then the Brewers and the Rockies play again tonight on TBS, and so does the Dodgers and the Braves. That's later on tonight, 7 and 10 starts. So that's it for baseball. I advise you guys, like I said, I advise you guys to tune in because it is some great stuff. You see, it's a great energy. It is a great family watch. You and your family can get into baseball together. It is just such a good sport. It's America's pastime. So, but before we move on to the finishing of our top 5 list, I would just like to thank everybody who tunes into the stream every single day, who shows us the love and the support. Me and Tyler, we great. You know, he can speak for me, and I can speak for him when we say we appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Yeah.
We really do try for you guys. We really do put in the effort for you guys. And you know, lately we've been having some real duds in terms of sports, and we still come and we still deliver this shit to you. So we appreciate the fans for watching. I appreciate my girlfriend. I appreciate my brother Ty Scott. You already know who that is, Traffic. So you want to get to my top 5, boy? You want to get to my top 5 or what? We was on small forwards last we left off, right?
Yeah, it's your turn with small forwards. That's a fact.
All right, let's get it. I ain't gonna do what you did. You feel me? Skip over names. The best small forward in the league, bar none. You want to know who it is? You know who it is. The King. The King's counterpart, Brandon Ingram, is stepping up. So, you know, let me stop. LeBron James, bro. There's no question about it. LeBron, he's the true demigod. Somebody so big who can pass like a point guard, and now the nigga can shoot like a shooting guard. So I mean, GG's for the rest of the league. So, you know, he's just a guy, and I think Tyler was right when he said his name shouldn't even be brought up with the rest of these guys. It's LeBron and then everybody else, and that's how I feel. LeBron and then everybody else. Nobody compares to LeBron. LeBron has been he's you know, top 2, if not the GOAT in NBA of all time. He's the greatest player in the history of the world to ever touch a basketball. This is not me, you know, as the kids say, you know, necking him. This is just me, you know, being realistic with the list. Like, LeBron has been that guy for a long time, for the last 10 years at least. So, shout out to LeBron. Shout out to his longevity as well. Like, and he's just a good person all in all. I think there's not enough said about that. When we want to talk about basketball skill, we bring up basketball. But if we want to talk about best player in the league, and we don't bring up best person in the league, I think that's something we're doing wrong. Best person in the league, LeBron James. He does so much for his community.
He's definitely bigger than basketball.
But yeah, he's definitely. I think when you talk about him, you want to mention the avenues he's created for himself outside of basketball, with the barbershop, Undisputed, the Athletic. You know, I mean, Uninterrupted. Sorry, not Undisputed. Uninterrupted. Like, these are all things that are taken off, and then he made his school the I Promise School. You know, just one of the better stories you're gonna hear ever. Crazy. Like, so it's just one of the better stories you're gonna hear ever. So that guy, kudos to him, and I hope he exceeds what people think he's gonna do in LA, because a lot of people think he's just going out there for business. I know, you know, we've watched LeBron enough. I know he's not going out there for business. He's going out there for business, but that business has to do a lot with the Warriors. So
better go out there to win.
Exactly. So that business has a lot to do with the Warriors. That's the business he went out there with, and I think he has some bad blood against those guys, and I think he has a younger team to compete against those guys. Just not this year. Maybe when they take Clay from the Warriors or KD from the Warriors, he'll be able to compete with those guys, but not right now.
Yeah.
You know. So, the next guy on my list, number 2 on my list, we got KD. Man, that dude's an assassin. You know, and me and Tyler was talking about Game 3 yesterday, and that's the multicasm of what you get when you watch KD. This guy he's a monster when it comes to basketball. Scoring from anywhere. He's long. He can shoot over everybody. You know, and I think like Tyler, you said yesterday, he is underrated in a sense. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't talk about him when they talk about the best in the league.
I didn't say he's underrated. I said his skill is underappreciated. Like,
yeah, I mean, and it's the same thing. It's the same thing. You know, just in layman's terms.
Yeah.
Like, you know, him being underrated and skill being underappreciated. Like, you can't underappreciate something that's so evident. You know, KD has shown on multiple occasions with OKC, with the Warriors, that he can score on anybody. Nobody can guard him. Not LeBron, not nobody. So, you know, and I think a lot of people get that, oh, well, LeBron could guard him because LeBron's the best player in the league. No, LeBron's the best player in the league in his own right because he does stuff on the offensive side. But LeBron's not a slouch defensively, and KD makes him look that way. And same with LeBron and KD. They're not slouches defensively, but if you're guarding one of them, you're going to look like the worst defender in the league that night. It's just simple. So I like to, you know, me and you have the same 2, and then for my last one, I think we both have the same one if I'm not mistaken. Kawhi Leonard, the best two-way player in the league. You know, not a lot of players Jimmy to Miami. Okay, we'll get to that. Not a lot of players in this league to that can play defense and have an offensive production like that guy. So, you know, shout out to Jimmy. Jimmy's a great player. I mean, I said Jimmy. You got me. shout out to Kawhi. Kawhi's a great player. You know, in Toronto, I think I expect him to exceed expectations. You know, I expect him to play really well over there. So, I mean, that's all I gotta say about my small forward. Let's not too long.
Kawhi, you know, I just want to say about Kawhi. When we talked about this yesterday, and we went over our list and shit when we were talking to each other, I was like, yo, I like that ad, like Kawhi, because, like, let's not forget, before he got injured, he was arguably the third best player in the league. I mean,
exactly.
And defense isn't something you really lose. I mean, you could be scared to be athletic and shit, but defense, I don't think that he's gonna lose that. Not as good as he was. Like, he was like a great defender. Like, he was. People would say that he's better than Scotty. I don't think he was, but people would put him up there with that.
Right, exactly.
But
you know, that's something. You know, defense is something when you learn you can't lose. It's one of those traits. And let's say Kawhi does lose his offensive score, his offensive ability, right? I don't think I think he still has a place in this league as a defender. You see Andre Roberson continues to make that Thunder lineup. He can't hit a free throw. He can't hit a shot at all.
Yeah.
So, you know
Tyler said that if they had Andre Roberson, they might win that first round, and they might. Who knows?
You know, but his defense is that game changing. Andre Roberson too is an underrated defender. His defense is that game changing. So, you know, they might have won that series. You know, you just never know. But I think Kawhi, what he brings most to a team is not his scoring output, not what he brings on an offensive end, more so what he brings on a defensive end. Don't get me wrong, the guy is a monster. And his big hands, he's able to rebound as good as a center. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah,
it's just a lot of stuff that go on. There's a lot of stuff that go on with Kawhi. He's just such a good talent. And I think the Raptors become better this year with Kawhi rather than DeRozan. Not to say DeRozan wasn't good. I just think the matchup problems that DeRozan poses is different than what
like honestly, I feel like the energy Kawhi's bringing into the season is so good already. He's laughing. We ain't never seen Kawhi laugh before. You know
and I don't want to see him laugh again. So I
don't even know where you sitting at right now, Brett.
Oh, I missed it. Oh, whoever's watching the stream, I'm sorry.
Oh, you playing Madden? You playing?
Playing Madden. I missed the field goal. All right, so go to power forwards.
I think it said, "Oh, I missed." You just. Oh, you sold. Oh, you sold. I'm gonna go back to my notes now.
Alright, go ahead.
I looked at the score and the time, then you sold.
Alright, so you're gonna go to your power forwards, right?
Yeah.
So go to your power forwards.
Alright, let's talk about our power forwards. Alright, number one, I don't even think it's a debate. Anthony Davis. This man, he 4-0'd. Being the leader of the team, he 4-0'd the Trailblazers. He 4-0'd them by himself with great defensive help from Rondo and Drew Holiday. But I mean, he's the leader of that team, and he's the one on the offensive end that is the primary scorer. And for him to do that, especially without DeMarcus Cousins, sadly DeMarcus Cousins didn't stay there. And the fact that he 4-0'd them without DeMarcus, it really scared me for what DeMarcus and Anthony Davis could do together during the postseason. I mean, I feel like they would have been a great duo. Especially they'd have been the David Robinson and Tim Duncan of this time. I mean, with both of their abilities to shoot the three, to take it inside, and also what really elevates Anthony Davis is his ability to protect the rim. He's a great rim protector. I mean, with his huge fucking arm reach and everything about him, like he just got the body for greatness. And like I said about like you said yesterday about him, he's gonna be one of those great players. And I think him and Giannis are, when KD and LeBron leave, I think Giannis and Anthony Davis those are gonna be the players that everyone looks at like they're gonna be the next GOATs.
Yeah.
Who? I ain't never heard of that man. Who is that?
Porzingis, Kristaps, Porzingis. You know who that is? That's the man, the myth, the legend. ACL tearer.
I mean, that is who I got at number 2 though. Like, how you know?
Now who you got number 2 for real?
Not for real. I got Porzingis number 2.
Whoa.
I mean, Porzingis, like you and me have already talked about it. Like, if Porzingis was to put on a little bit of weight and like muscle to be able to guard those stronger power forwards like LaMarcus, because I mean, you watched it. I mean, you said what LaMarcus do to your boy Porzingis? Made that nigga look like a Porzing bitch.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. He made him look like a Porzing bitch. Right.
Go in detail.
Oh.
Go in detail.
Yeah. Prior to those matchup against the Spurs, which I could say was arguably the turnaround of our season early in the season for the Knicks, Porzingis did look really bad against those Spurs, and I guess there was a lot of wear and tear from from scoring 30 every point and putting the team on his back. But for sure, Porzingis is one of the rising talents in this league, and I think he is a top 4 power forward. And I think I expect to see it, but he just needs to add a lot of weight. You know, especially while he's injured, it's the perfect time to rehab everything. You know, he just needs to add a lot of weight to his repertoire, and that's it. And that's what I feel about Porzingis.
I mean, and besides him being like a lower weight, I mean, he is a pretty good fucking defender, and he can shoot the 3 ball better than most big men, I'd say. I don't know. I don't know who to really say is better than him. He can shoot the 3 ball pretty well, and another thing that the most of the big men are coming in with is this ability to dribble. And I mean, that's just fucking crazy. Like, how you 7 foot tall, Porzingis being 7'3", and you're able to play make, not like a guard, but I'd say like a small forward or something. Like, I think that's a great asset going into the future, and I think it's gonna be fun to see the big men we got in the league now, and also the future big men.
Exactly. But I agree with you. That was a good point.
I mean, and for number 3, I'm gonna be honest, it's a little biased because I'm a huge fan of this player, but I got Blake Griffin at number 3, and for reasons like the information, like what I just said. I mean, the playmaking aspect of a big man. I feel like, me personally, the first person I saw do it was Blake Griffin. I forgot what year it was when Chris Paul got injured, and Blake took it into his hands to be the playmaker for the team. And remember, what season was it he hit that game winner on the Suns, Brett?
Blake hit the game winner on the Suns. I don't know. I think that was the third to last year that Chris Paul left. It was one of those years. But maybe
it was a while ago now. But like, that's where he took it into his hands to be the playmaker for that team, and I feel like he did a great job. I mean, especially when, I mean, he lacked, like, what I started liking Blake for, I think anyone else did. If you like Blake, it's because of how aggressive he dunked on people. He didn't completely lose that ability, but you don't see it as much anymore with Blake because of how he's expanded his game. Now he has a jump shot. He's not the best 3-point shooter or even mid-range shooter. He has a pretty shitty looking jump shot, but
yeah,
he can shoot. I mean, he's not one of the people you're gonna leave over. You're gonna guard him on the 3-point line. He can, like I said, bring the ball up court now. And I think he just added so many different aspects to his game. And
that could stretch your defense out, you know, as a player, to have somebody who can stretch your defense out and make them play more towards the arc is so key in today's league. So, yeah, definitely Blake. I love Blake. Blake is one of those guys who I really do. I think is underrated. And, you know, and a lot of people don't like Blake. A lot of people don't like Blake. They think he's soft. They think he's, like, ignorant. And I think, you know, forget those people. It's not about how he acts off the court. Everybody can't be LeBron James. You know, I stress that to a lot of people. Everybody can't be LeBron James. But, you know, what you like.
I mean, off the court, conflicts don't even, like, that has nothing to do with someone's actual skills of the game.
Exactly. We bring that up with LeBron is just because, on top of being the greatest basketball player, you know, he's one of the best.
He's the greatest role model.
Right, exactly. So, just simple about that.
I mean, for example, like, even if we wanted to go back to, look at Josh Gordon. I mean, he hasn't had the best off the field moments, but like
they know his talent.
He's the best. Yeah, he's the best talent like people have ever seen at the wide receiver position. So, I mean, I feel like Blake has potential to get better this season. I mean, he's paired with Andre Drummond, who is a great rebounder and a great putback finisher, I would say. So hopefully, I'd like to see the Pistons do good this season. I doubt they will, but I don't know. I mean, who's your power forwards now, though?
Let me look at my
Anthony
list.
Davis.
Number
All you
one.
have to do is say Anthony Davis.
No, because this game going down to the wire. Let me so number one, we got AD, right? AD. You know, it's not enough to be said about the kind of guy. You know, when DeMarcus went out last year, he took over that center role. He excelled in that center role. He can excel, you know, at a power forward role. And even me, call me stupid, but I think he can excel at a smaller role, like small forward. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that also helps because when he was in high school, he played point guard. I forgot to bring that up, but
yeah, his growth
that's
spurt
what gives him that huge playmaking ability.
And that's always key. I think Anthony Davis is, you know, I agree with Max Kellerman when he says something like Anthony Davis is next to take the throne from LeBron. But my fault.
This nigga over here sweating in that,
but
nigga sweating on the CPU.
It's not CPU.
Were you playing against somebody? You ass, bro. How you sound like that against somebody, bro? Yo, I thought this was CPU this whole time. Nigga just not dead ass right now. Yo,
Anthony Davis is more than
you. I don't blame you.
Anthony Davis is such a great talent. Anthony Davis is such a great talent, and I think we don't recognize him enough, you know, just in terms of playing the game of basketball. But, I mean, you said enough about Anthony Davis. My second one, different than yours, my second one is LaMarcus Aldridge. Probably one of the best pure post scorers in the league right now. He has the body, he's tough. You know, he has the body, he's tough, and that's always key into winning games. You know, he's the front centerpiece for the Spurs, and I think his shooting ability goes underlooked. He's like one of the best mid-range shooters in the league. On top of all of that, he plays the game hard. You know, he fits in, and I think last year was a year where he had a little conflict with Popovich and the Spurs, and I respect him a lot for sitting down with Popovich, something that Kawhi couldn't do, but sitting down with Popovich and talking about like what's the issues here. Now, I think he really did a good job. I had a newfound respect for Kawhi. I said Kawhi Leonard, for LaMarcus Aldridge. So yeah, there's enough. That's enough said about LaMarcus. His game is not extraordinary like Anthony Davis. He plays the game right. He plays the game fair. So.
I mean, don't forget back when he was on Portland, man. He was giving niggas buckets. Oh, he dropped Blake the fuck off. Tyler won't let me live that down. Cause that's when I first started liking Blake, and then in the playoffs, that nigga LaMarcus, he let that nigga know what time it was. It wasn't Dame time at that time yet. It was LaMarcus time.
It was Brandon Roy and LaMarcus. You hear me? Nah, it wasn't. Brandon Roy already had left the league. You know what I'm saying? Knee injuries and stuff. That's a sad case. And then my third power forward, you know, we know him well. Let's go! We know anyway. We know him well.
Yo.
We know Draymond. We know Draymond well. Just the off the court, not on the off the court stuff, but on the court, the dirty stuff. But not enough is said about his defense and how he affects every play and makes his team better. He's one of the most underrated playmakers in the league. What he can do with the ball in his hands is different than what a lot of guys can do with the ball in their hands, even point guards. I think Draymond Green, his game is so underrated. You know, he may not be the best scorer. You know what I'm saying? He can't score from everywhere like a Kristaps or a LaMarcus or AD even can score. But what he can do is play defense at a high level. And like we said, there's a spot for those kind of players who play defense. And not only that, he's not no slouch when it comes to scoring. He can score when he wants to. You know, when when he got that shot, he can score. But yeah, that's my powerful.
I mean, the definitely thing about Draymond is he's the offensive leadership. They run the ball through him.
Exactly.
That's not something you usually see in a power forward.
Right.
He doesn't take many dribbles, but he calls the plays, it seems like, and he gets the plays done. He makes the passes. He does all that extra shit on the offensive end that most players don't like doing because everyone wants to be a fucking scorer. That nigga Draymond is that perfect player that's surrounded by a bunch of scorers.
Exactly.
So that's also what helps the Warriors be so good.
Exactly. I agree with you. You know, Draymond does the little stuff that a lot of power forwards don't want to do. You know what I'm saying? You know, ball in their hand, they don't want to pass. You know, they just want to get the ball low post and score, put their head down and score. But I think what Anthony Davis and Draymond Green do as power forwards is truly impressive, and that playmaking ability has helped a lot of people out. And as you can see, LeBron is not regarded as the greatest basketball player just because he was a power scorer. You know, he's regarded as the greatest basketball player, you know, because his playmaking ability. Like, what he can do as a playmaker on the court is different than what Jordan did. It wasn't what Jordan was a shooter. Jordan was a scorer, you know, scoring first. What LeBron does is passing first and playmaking first and just looking for the best shot. So, you know, shout out to Draymond, shout out to LeBron, shout out to all the NBA players who really doing their thing out there. But let's get to our centers, the big uglies down there doing their thing. Who do you got on your top 3, Ty? Now.
Alright, well, to start the list off, I don't think it should really be a surprise. DeMarcus Cousins, he was obvious. Never mind. Anyways, last season he was paired with Anthony Davis, and they did a great job. I mean, sadly he went down with an Achilles injury, right? I think that.
Yeah, it was Achilles.
That was it. You got it right. I mean, sadly he goes down with that, and they don't get to play out the rest of the season. He gets injured before the All-Star game, and Anthony Davis wears a DeMarcus Cousins jersey to the All-Star game, which is mad respectable. But I mean, I think if they would have paired up together this season, and with the addition of Julius Randle could have been coming off the bench as a big man, that would have helped both of them out.
And I feel like they could have. And I know we weren't talking about Anthony Davis, but breaking news, because you just brought him up with the jersey. Kyrie has spoken with Anthony Davis about coming to Boston. That's big. We'll get to that right after we finish our centers list, but go ahead.
Alright, I mean, Anthony Davis he would have been a great talent to pair with DeMarcus for a long-term situation, I feel. Sadly, DeMarcus decided to take the cheaper route and go play for the Warriors. I'm not gonna hide how I feel. Like I'm not gonna call him that word because he might wash me. So I don't agree with his decision making in the offseason. That's how I'm gonna say it. I mean, he was just such a great player to play with. I feel like for Anthony Davis, I feel like they really could have made some damage going into this postseason, especially after what we just seen what Anthony Davis can do by himself. And DeMarcus brings that other aspect of the game because he's just like Anthony Davis, just a little bit bigger, I would say. And they can shoot, they can handle the ball, they can rebound, they can play defense. I mean, I feel like they helped each other so much, it was crazy.
And I think what you're really trying to say is, you know, I'm gonna say it for you because you can't get the words out right. I'm gonna say it for you, alright? I'm gonna say it for you.
I ain't gonna say it for me.
It was a conversation before DeMarcus learned how to shoot the 3-ball like that. There was a conversation for who's the best center.
Oh yeah.
But after DeMarcus got that 3-point down packed and started making it at a higher clip and shooting that ball a lot better than he did when he was with Sacramento, that's when the debate stopped. DeMarcus was already a monster down low. He already had that little 18-footer, that little midi. You know what I'm saying? He had that inside game. You know what I'm saying? He's big, he's powerful, he can do all that down there. But now that he got that 3 in his game, it changed the game. You know, so I don't know if you want to stay on Boogie because Boogie's a warrior now.
Yeah.
Boogie gonna be dancing with them warriors at the end, getting Boogie down low. You feel me? So who you got is just.
I mean, and speaking of him being on the Warriors, you know, I feel like him going to the Warriors once he comes back 100%. That's just gonna make him that more dominant because on the Warriors you can't play help defense, you can't double team. So now we're gonna have DeMarcus Cousins in the post 1-on-1 with anybody. And I don't think anyone could really stop DeMarcus Cousins 1-on-1 unless it's maybe someone like Joel Embiid.
Let me ask you a question, right?
Of that caliber.
Let me ask you a question. You trying to become rich, right? Let's say in life you're trying to become rich, right?
I don't know.
Let's just say you want to have money, right?
I like being poor.
Let's say you want to learn how to make money without doing it illegal, right? You know, that's fair to say, right? So, if I got a chance to be in a room with Bill Gates, Mark Zuckerberg, Stephen Hawking, and Tony McRich. I don't know another rich guy, but I'm just say Tony McRich, right? Right? And I could be that guy who comes in and learns different things from these guys to help me make money, and in basketball terms win a chip. You know what I'm saying? I think yeah, it may be a little, you know, how you say that word?
Pussy?
Yeah. It is. It's a little pussy. That was really the word I was looking for. I was trying to find another word for it. I didn't want to say vagina. So, but yeah, that's a little pussy to join the team. The guy, but for DeMarcus, I think this game goes nowhere but up. When you're around a guy like Steph, the greatest shooter, and you can shoot the ball.
I'm not saying that his ability is gonna go up because of people wrong. I'm saying his ability is gonna go up because you can't help on him.
No,
you gotta guard your man.
That's the obvious reason why he's gonna get better. But I'm talking about the undiscovered reason why he's gonna get better. KD, a sniper who can shoot from anywhere, shoot over everybody. He knows how to use his length. You know what I'm saying? He can teach Boogie that.
Yeah.
Draymond is a defensive monster. Nobody quite like him in the league because he's an undersized power forward who can guard the 4 and the 5 with exception, right? He can learn how to play defense with Draymond. For Steph and Clay, you know, Boogie learned he extended his game he extended his range as we talked about earlier with the 3. You know, with Steph and Clay around, the 2 of the greatest shooters in NBA history, if not the 2 best, the greatest shooters in NBA history, he can learn how to perfect this shot. When Boogie leaves the Warriors, I feel bad for what's gonna happen with the league. Because he's going to be as dominant, if not more dominant, than he was entering the Pelicans, and he's gonna do it at a high level. And I hope it's with the Knicks. Him and KD come to the Knicks, we get Boogie down over here, man. I'm down. Let's go.
And I mean, I'm pretty sure we got the same centers list, so we could just talk about this shit together. Honestly.
All right, yeah.
You got. Wait, we talked about. You still got the same list from yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Alright, cool. So next on our list, we got Joel Embiid.
And his cancer. Okay.
Fuck that nigga, bro. Wait, now let's talk about his cancer. Cause like I said to you earlier, why is he trying hard in preseason?
Hey,
I'm getting every board.
You gotta set the tone, boy. You gotta set the tone for the season.
If you're the starting center, why are you playing 26 minutes in preseason?
Why you not?
Because if he gets hurt, then he's not in there for the season.
Why you bringing up valid points? Why you bringing up valid points? Stop doing that. That's bad, Tyler.
All right. Let's go into Joel Embiid. I mean, Joel Embiid. I mean, he's like the other players that like the other big men we've talked about. He's also got that jump shot. It's not as consistent as the other ones. He can't shoot like Anthony. He can't shoot like DeMarcus, but he has that jump shot. So he's a threat from the 3. I mean, he's a great defender. He's a great rim protector, and his post game is elite. Like I would say he's the best post player in the game. Even though you said that LaMarcus is the best pure post scorer, I feel like they don't call him Baby Olajuwon for nothing. You feel me? So
I never hear him get called that.
You never heard him get called Baby Olajuwon?
Never in my life. But you know what I will call him, right? I'll call him Joel Embiid. And the reason why I call him that, because he's his own man. Joel Embiid can extend range deeper than Olajuwon. Not saying he's gonna be greater than Olajuwon, not even close, not yet. At least, you know, give him a career. But you know, I think what everybody looks to when you talk about Joel Embiid is how dominant of a player he is, and dominant doesn't always mean inside; it means everywhere. How dominant of a player he is, and he draws attention from everybody. I mean, they can put 2 of those big men on him. He's gonna get that bucket. You know, he's just determined to get that bucket. He's built that way. So yeah, Embiid has everything, and then on top of that, his shot blocking ability is, you know, second to none. Maybe him and Porzingis and help me out, and Anthony Davis are all in the same realm, but I think they all got that shot blocking difference making shot blocking rather. So yeah. No, that's how I feel about Embiid, man. He look like he stink though, so that's another thing about Embiid. You know, to me,
he gonna beat your ass. He
look like he smell like sawfish. Like I don't know if you ever smell sawfish, but just picture what Embiid smells like, and then you smell sawfish.
I'm telling you, he gonna beat the fuck out of you.
Man, and I ain't scared of no Embiid. He a little trolling that.
Listen, when we blow up and niggas start watching our shit, I'm bringing this up.
You know they're gonna find it when I'm interviewing him. Hey.
All you gonna see in the comments is, didn't you call him stink? Didn't you say he smelled like what you said? Does he really smell like it?
He looked like he sminked like that. You know, I made up my own word, fashionable. Like look at these, look at them jeans, boy. They know how to dress. Yeah, that boy got that.
All right, let's get on to the third center we got. The third and final center we both got is I mean, you start this one. I'm tired of starting.
The third final center we got is Nikola middle with an egg. All right, you know how that goes. Jokic. And what we do with him, you know, why we put him on our list is because I'm
going to sleep.
He is
middle of the egg. That's the best thing you can come up with.
Nikola Jokic, right?
That's why I wanted you to start it, because I can't say that nigga name either. So
Nikola
go.
Jokic, right? He is such a good shooter from beyond the arc, but his most underrated ability in this league is passing the ball.
I don't think it's underrated.
His shooting?
No, his ability to pass the ball. That nigga is a god passer.
He's the flashiest passer in the league. That's not a point guard. So like, I give that to him. He knows how to set his teammates up.
LeBron. He's a second.
Nah. Jokic is a better flashy passer than LeBron.
Yo, LeBron you right, because LeBron make basic passes look like they some shit.
Like they hard. Like he turn his head, do a spin with that shit.
He turned his head, bro. He turned his head. He said fake pass, and he just sit down low. Niggas lost their fucking mind.
No
like,
funny shit. You can make a chest pass to the nigga right next to you and do a little twirl with it, and that's the flashy pass to these niggas. But nah, LeBron's had some crazy flashy passes. The fake, I don't know if you remember last year against the Lakers, the fake where he had the ball in one hand, faked it to the Kyle Korver right next to him, and then hit.
That's what I'm talking about. That play.
Oh yeah.
That play, bro. It's such a simple, bro. It's just a fake pass.
Yeah,
but LeBron has that passing ability that he scares everybody.
They get sold on his little basic. I don't know why anybody would get scared of a basic pass to Kyle Korver who's right next to him. You know, but
I mean, it's not like Kyle Korver's the best shooter.
But that just shows you how much work he got to do with that Lakers team. They get scared of passes and shit. You know,
I mean, did you see like the bounce pass he threw to Brandon Ingram in their first fucking preseason game? That shit was fire.
He was like, this is what I was expecting.
Yeah, he was like, oh shit.
We got that from Rodgers. So, but Jokic, back to Jokic. Jokic is a great post player. He can score inside. Nikola, middle of the egg, Jokic.
Middle of the yolk. Oh my god, bro.
But yeah, I don't know if you got anything to say about Jokic, but he's just an all-around great player. He's a long player. He can shoot that 3 ball. He can dunk on dudes' heads. He can do 360. So shout out to Nikola Jokic, and that's our top 5 in the league. We wanted to have I had a talk with Tyler yesterday about how we feel like sometimes we try to, preemptively strike our jokes and everywhere around. But today we wanted to show you guys a little more of us. It's a 1 hour show. It's Friday, TGIF. The weekend is coming up. We ain't got no work to do tomorrow. Y'all ain't got no work to do tomorrow.
I don't even know where you sitting at.
Unless y'all working in retail. So weekends is off, baby. Me and Tyler probably gonna be streaming on. Hey, I know. Hey, me and Tyler gonna be streaming. Those are preemptive jokes we was talking about.
Oh my god.
So me and Tyler, we're probably going to be streaming on our main channels tomorrow and Sunday as well. Probably not Sunday because we're going to be watching some football. If we do stream Sunday, it'll be in the morning. I'm going to try to get Tyler up early enough for that. Probably not.
Nigga says it like I'm not up before. Alright, y'all. We're going to catch y'all later. I hope y'all have a good day. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe.
And subscribe to our individual channels, Novaciane Gaming, TyThaGoat. Links will be in the description. Make sure you check us out. We play some Fortnite. We've been getting really good at that game. Tyler's still trash at 2K, but I'll carry him. So peace out to our YouTube fans. We love y'all. See y'all on Monday. Should be an action-packed show.